My parents started Pioneer Wholesale Company about 3 years before I was born, so I've been around silk flowers my whole life. I'm sure that over the years, I've looked at hundreds of thousands of artificial flowers. However, I'll never forget a particular design and purchasing trip my father and I made to China, when I got to really see silk flowers for the first time. We asked the factory owner if we could tour the production facility. He did so with pride. I was and still am in absolute awe about what it takes to create even one silk flower bush. I hope that our story will help you understand how the silk flowers that you regularly use in your day-to-day operations actually come to be. When we arrived at the factory in industrial China, we were surprised at the measure of security. It's not like pulling into the Pioneer import offices. Every factory has a locked gate, with one or more gatekeepers. Near the top of the photo, you can see the dormitories where the workers live. It's interesting, but there were no fancy storage systems here, but the employees knew where everything was kept. The first thing we saw being constructed was the fabric for petals and leaves being fed through a pressing machine. As the material comes out of the press, a worker pushes a cutter into the fabric to shape the leaves. I was reminded of a cookie cutter. The next photos show a thick stack of fabric being cut. You can see the individual petals cut out. There are many layers of petals or leaves cut all at once. Later, they will be all separated and used individually. Next, we saw huge bags, about 55 pounds each, full of tiny plastic beads. These are melted down and turned into the basic stems. Some of the beads are yellow and some are green. The ratio determines the final color of the stem. If stems need to be a lighter green, more yellow beads will be used. If they need to be a darker green, more green beads are used. After the beads are melted down, they're formed into these basic stems. The stems then go into another machine that folds, cuts, and molds them into their final style. The molds are the heart of any silk flower factory. Each mold is hand-chiseled by a mold craftsman and can cost anywhere from $300 to $2,000, depending on its size and intricacy. Between petals and leaves, each silk flower bush can require many different molds. One of our more popular bushes requires 50 different molds to make. Since molds are so expensive and the life of each factory, they're kept in a locked room. This room is as important to the factory as a vault is to a bank. Without it, the factory has nothing. Here is a mold in use in a machine. You can see that the fabric is set in the mold, then the press comes down on top of it. Once the press is raised, the fully formed petal is removed. This is a finished molded petal. Many layers of these petals are put together to create a single silk flower. Leaves are made in a mold the same way that flower petals are. After the leaves are pressed and formed, stems are added to them. These look like tropical leis, but they're actually thousands and thousands of individual petals stored on strings. At this point in the construction, layers of petals are attached carefully on the stem to create a flower. Both the type of material used and the number of petal layers determines the end quality of the flower. This higher quality is also a determining factor in the price. The next step in production happens once the flowers are assembled. A torch is blown over them to heat the edges of the flower, which prevents the flower from fraying. Finally, a finished flower. But we aren't done yet. All of the components, flowers, leaves, and stems, are now combined to create a flower bush. Once the bushes are created, they are packaged and loaded on rail containers, then transported to the nearest port city. From there, they're placed on ships to take a 3 to 4 week journey across the ocean. Once they arrive in the States, they're fumigated, inspected, and loaded on a train bound for Cleveland, Ohio. At the Cleveland Rail Yard, they're put on a special kind of trailer and driven to our warehouse. Finally, we ship these beautiful works of art out to you. Seeing this production process for the first time was a life-changing experience. It made me appreciate what it takes to keep your business as a florist, our company, and our hardworking vendors all afloat. We are all connected. Hopefully this tour has given you, our viewer, a fascinating new perspective. At Pioneer Imports and Wholesale, we are so proud to be a part of this process. We choose beautiful, high-quality products and have personal relationships with our manufacturers. This personal service carries on to our customers, the gifted professionals in the floral industry. We are so proud to be a part of your success.